Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sit in It for a Bit with Arne and Carlos. And we are, as always, your hosts.
Arne and Carlos.
And we are back with the last podcast of this year.
Yeah.
It's our 4th of Advent special. And today we are going to sum up our year, both in everything that has happened and also our year in knitting. So we've got all our knitting here.
What
to
we
go
could
through.
find.
Or what we could find.
Or what we remember. Because you can't remember everything.
No. But we're trying, to figure out, and it's not a competition because I don't like losing.
No.
Put it that way. But before we start, Arne, it is the 4th of Advent.
It is.
And
So
we have to light some candles. And this year, Christmas is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
We're going to get to spend it at home, and we're very happy about that. And my father is coming to join us in a few days, and we're also very happy about that. But I was thinking about the date today, and it is actually exactly 6 months since my dear mother passed away, and I do miss her dearly.
Yeah. It's going to be a strange Christmas.
It's going to be...
It's always strange on the big days like that.
Yeah, the first time is probably difficult. But anyway, I thought, we usually light the Advent candles for hope and love and peace and all that. But today I would like to light a candle for my mother. And I think, Arne, that you can light candles for your father and your mother who are no longer with us either.
I think we should light the one for your father as well.
Yeah.
Because he's still alive.
He's still alive and he's
He need a
coming.
candle. He's coming.
And we're looking forward to that. So...
That's like we do this lighting of candles sometimes when we travel.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to Catholic churches because they have these candles you can
Yes,
light.
we're not Catholics, but we do
but we
love-
like all the Catholic things. Like saints and stuff.
Okay, so I'm lighting a candle for my mother. And I'm lighting a candle for my father.
Yes, and then I can do the same. These are very good. So for mother and my father. Now we have one candle each.
Yep.
Takes a while for this one.
Yeah, and this, sorry.
Here it comes.
And this marks the official, the waiting is almost over now. Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming.
And the 4 Sundays of Advent are now lit. And our parents are remembered, which is nice. Every year I think about it. And this year, the stress has been real. I don't know why, but we had stress baking cookies. And there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes that have actually stressed me a lot. And I just felt at one point that I just needed to sit down and just start breathing again. Yeah.
Maybe you can do that next week.
I'm trying to do it now.
Yeah, you can try.
I'm trying to do it now. But
know,
it is a joyful time of the year, and it is nice that my dad is going to come.
Yeah.
But also, it is a little bit sad, everything that's happened this year, especially my mother's passing. And I think that joy and sadness can live side by side, and we'll be okay for sure.
We will be good. I think we will be good. And we also already got one Christmas tree. That is not something we do very often. Get trees this early.
But we had to.
But we had to. I don't know why we had to.
Because we wanted to have a nice tree, and sometimes if you wait too long, you don't get the nice trees. Yeah. You get all the rejects, all the ones that people didn't like.
Yeah. And also the place where we normally buy the Christmas trees, there were no one there this year. So we found another place, the local gas station. So we have one tree. And
it was already packed in that that plastic netting.
Thing.
I said to Arne, we can't buy it unseen. The height was nice.
Yeah.
The height was perfect, but I wanted to see the Christmas tree. And so, long story short, I ended up not seeing it, but Arne did go again a second time, and he had them rip it open, I hope.
Yeah, I opened it and looked at it.
And
I think
examined
it's
it. What do you mean fine?
I hope it's... They say every tree is beautiful when you put the things
but I want a perfect tree. Okay, thank you, Arne.
Well, you know, you're more picky than me.
Well-
so I just say, I hope it's fine.
But
For
after
it's fine for me.
Arne, after 30 years, you should know better. You
I
should
know, I'm
You should
scared.
know.
It's scary.
Yeah, you should know better. You should tell me it's perfect.
It's perfect.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. But I'm going to find another one to put up in the new studio. But I'm really back and forth. Should I put it
Okay,
on the
what's wrong?
table or should I put it on the floor?
I don't know, but can you tell me why the tree is just fine and not perfect?
No, I think it's fine. It's more than you are so picky. If I find a nice tree, you probably don't like
So
it.
there weren't any rotten...
I don't trust myself when it comes to this.
Yeah, there weren't any rotten branches, holes...
No, they don't sell rotten branches.
Well, you never know. The tree was unwrapped. I mean, it was wrapped. So
Yeah, but you could even see that from the outside because all the branches go up like this.
well, we'll see. We still have it outside. It's in that plastic wrapping. Yeah, it's coming in
Soon.
to be decorated on what we call here in Norway Little Christmas Eve,
Christmas Eve. So that will be on the
23rd of December.
And I think we're going to do it early in the morning on the 23rd.
Yeah, so we're getting some visits in the afternoon.
Yeah,
And
so
my
we
dad's
have-
going to be
Yeah,
here.
so the tree has to be up.
So yeah.
But the tree upstairs, I think maybe if I put it on the table, I have to trim it.
Yeah,
Some
we need a
will-
lighter tree, not too heavy then.
No, a light one. There's
We don't
one
want
in the
that tree
kitchen
falling
garden.
over and...
No, there's one in the kitchen garden. I think maybe it's time to take it. But then we have to trim it so it's like, it can't be wider than the table it's standing on.
Right.
So we have to cut it.
Because, you know,
Like
we
a
don't
pyramid.
need structural issues. Like, let me remind you of a gingerbread house.
Yeah, we don't do
If
that.
you recall, the little structure and then the big house on top of it
Yeah,
didn't
that's
work.
a traditional style. It's called stabbur.
Yeah, it works in construction. It does not work in gingerbread, as we know.
No, but that's because we filled it with so many sweets.
Yeah, that is true.
Could be.
Yeah, it was fun doing the gingerbread house a few years ago. I don't think we have time to do one this year.
But we're gonna do cakes tonight, I think, because we gave away all the tom.
Yeah, the cookies.
The cookies. What are those called?
Sandkake.
Sandkake. We call them. I learned like a Thomas kake.
Yeah, with your thumb
Because
cake.
you use your thumb when you make
press
them,
them
so
in.
it's a thumb cake.
Yeah.
Thumb cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna redo them or do some for ourselves.
And because they're so good.
But I keep telling Arne, we don't need that much, really. We don't need that much. You know, it's all sugar and butter and flour after all.
Yeah.
We don't need that much. Please don't make too many cookies because...
But you know, the foxes or the birds or the moose can have it.
Yeah, or Freya.
No, she
can't have it.
can't have it. Where is she?
She's under the table, I think. Probably
Yeah, there's-
resting. She's there. Yeah. Anyway, this has been an interesting year. I would like to say it's had good things and bad things happening to us. But if we are gonna sum it up, still, it's been a nice year.
It's been a nice. We've done a lot of nice traveling.
We did, yes, definitely. We started.
At first, and we took back the sock yarn. The sock yarn is now ours.
Right.
It was relaunched this year, so that was a
Relaunched,
good
yes.
thing. Relaunched.
Yeah. So a lot has been happening. Let's say that this year was. In Norwegian, you would say begivenhetsrik.
Begivenhetsrik.
It means rich with things that happened.
Yeah.
So it started off quite fun, actually. We ended up traveling far away to South America, and then we went onwards to the seventh continent for us, Antarctica, on a knitting cruise.
So that was very nice. That was actually the start.
That was the start of our year.
Which date
Yes.
did we go? When did we leave?
I can't remember exactly, but it was in mid-January
Mid-January?
or something. We went to Argentina, to Buenos Aires. We stayed there a few days, and then we flew to Ushuaia, boarded the Fridtjof Nansen, which is an HX Hurtigruten ship, and went over to Antarctica, to the peninsula. And when we set foot on the peninsula, on the mainland of Antarctica, we officially have now been in all continents in the world, which is quite amazing
the moon is
to think
the
about
next.
it. The moon's the next, right? But anyway, it was a terrific trip. We were, You know, it was kind of like the same but completely different to going to Australia.
Yeah.
Because when we went to Australia, the wildlife was so different and the landscapes were so different. And there were parakeets in the trees. We went to Australia in 2017, so it's a while ago.
Yeah.
And coming to Antarctica, it was the same thing. In the sense that we woke up in the morning,
Yeah.
there was a ginormous iceberg floating in front of the window of our cabin,
That
and
was
then
cool.
and then we saw little things, we saw things that were bubbling. We couldn't see what it was, but there were like bubbles down below the iceberg, and we were thinking maybe it was fish,
Yeah.
but it wasn't.
So it's penguins.
It was penguins.
That was so cool.
Yeah,
Then you understand you're in a different place.
completely different.
Completely different.
And then,
So-
and then a few hours after we opened the window or opened the curtains, and seeing this phenomenal view with blue skies, not a single cloud, we went out into a little zodiac,
Yeah.
and we did a tour of the bay where we were anchored, and we saw more penguins.
Yeah.
We saw a leopard seal, a crab-eater seal, I remember. And we saw whales, lots of whales. It was quite an
very
incredible
nice.
start
Yeah.
to a fantastic trip.
And it was also hatching season for the penguins, so there were like
Yeah.
small penguins everywhere, like penguin chicks, what
Mm-hmm.
they call them. Yeah. So that was cool. And we're going back. Aren't we planning a new trip?
Yeah, so this
Next-
was a knitting. We did this as a knitting cruise with a mystery knit along that everybody knows. We're going to
It's
talk
not a
about.
mystery anymore.
We're going to talk about the knitting in a bit. But we did a mystery knit along and a knitting trip. It was all about knitting and Antarctica and exploration. It was a fantastic trip. We all came home wanting more, all of us, all the group. We were about 30 people. And we are definitely doing one more in 2027.
Yeah, so that's not the year after.
Not this year, this
Yeah.
coming year, but the next, in January or February, I believe. And the point of the next trip is we want to cross the Antarctic Circle.
Yeah, so we're gonna go further south.
Yes.
So that would be nice. And I think someone said they have those big penguins down there, the huge ones, the
The emperor penguins.
penguins.
I don't know where they are.
I don't know if it's true. Someone said
Yeah.
there's the big ones are down there.
And you know,
I don't know.
you never stop learning things. And I learned something on this trip to Antarctica. Actually, I learned it in Argentina. I learned that when we were in Ushuaia is not as far south as, for example, Tromsø is far north. Meaning that the South American continent actually is located further away from the Antarctic Circle than the European continent is. And we live at, I think, 64 degrees.
Yeah, I think yeah.
And Ushuaia was more or less at that latitude as well in south. I can't remember the exact latitude, but it was actually quite similar to here. They don't live south enough to have the midnight sun there.
It's
Yeah.
very strange when you think about it, because in Norway you can go way above the Arctic Circle, and like if you come to Tromsø, they have a like botanical garden
Yeah.
and people live there. If in the south, there's no one living above the circle.
Right, yeah. Well, not in Antarctica.
In
but,
Antarctica,
the
it's
southernmost areas are in Chile and Argentina.
Yeah, so we
and
have
then you have
the-
the islands. You have the all the little islands
Yeah.
outside of the South American continent. Not outside, but the Falkland Islands, the Mariana, Sandwich, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We shouldn't talk about. We don't know all
I
this.
should look up all my geography.
I bought a book about Antarctica, which
Yeah.
I finished half of it.
And have you read it?
Yeah, half of it.
Half of it.
I have to finish it before we go next time.
We do, yeah. Anyway, that was our phenomenal trip in January, and then in February we did another one of our knitting cruises here in Norway, a northbound, just up to the north, and then we flew back home, which was quite lovely. And I think it was the last cruise that we did on Havila, which is one of the two. It's one of the two companies that operate the Norwegian Coastal Express. And from then on, we are only working with Hurtigruten,
Yeah, from now on, yeah.
which is a whole other story. But anyway, yeah, that was our last trip on Havila. It was lovely. February around Norway is beautiful, actually. A lot of people, would ask, why would you go there in the middle of winter, but it is
why not?
quite beautiful.
You have the aurora.
You can see the Aurora Borealis, among other things.
Was that the trip where we had the aurora just when we left Bergen? Was that trip? No.
No, that was in the fall.
That was in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, you see, I can't remember. I have to look at my
No, I mean
phone or in my scrapbook to remember where we've been.
It's a distant memory now. It's
so,
something
and then we
did.
went to Greenland.
Well, but you're going too quickly now.
Oh yeah, we haven't been somewhere
We
else
got
before.
yeah. So January, February, March. We didn't do much in March and April, so we were here most of the time.
Yeah.
And then in May we did a phenomenal trip to England, as we love doing.
So that was the England trip.
Right.
That was also very. That's always nice.
Yes.
So
we did an English garden trip, very similar to the one we did last year, where we traveled to Kent, Sussex, Surrey, and the Cotswolds.
Yeah. So same.
Visiting Sissinghurst, Great Dixter, and Heathcote. And actually, we were able to visit Highgrove, His Majesty King Charles's garden in his private home in Gloucestershire, which I believe now is the wettest place in England. Because we have been there twice. We were there in 2019 and in 2025, and it was raining badly both times. Yet, you're in England, and what is it they say, the English? They say never complain, never explain. So we just put on our ponchos, and we had our umbrellas, and we were guided by the guides in Highgrove, and we still got something out of it. It was actually beautiful.
It was very nice, and it's the second time we did the trip in that area. So next year we're going to take another area on the garden tour to see something different.
Right.
More of the favorite places we have.
Next year the route will take us to actually it's first going to take us to Somerset and Bath. And then from it goes. It's kind of like east, a little bit like that, north-ish. And it'll take us to Bath, and then we will go down to Devon and Cornwall. Actually, I think Cornwall first, and we'll finish in Devon.
It must be east, because we come from London, or where do you come from?
Sorry, west. Oh, God.
West, sorry, not east, west.
Yeah.
And then south.
Artistic people don't know the difference between right and left.
I never know
the difference between east and west. Sorry, let's start again. We're going to Somerset and Bath, which is on the west. It's west. And then we're going from Bath down to Cornwall, which is all the way west and southwest. And then we're going to go to Devon and then finish up again in London. The trip begins and ends in Windsor, and we are going to get a reunion with one of our favorite gardens in England, which is called the Lost Gardens of Hellingham.
Yes.
It's a spectacular garden with an even more spectacular story.
And I still haven't found the book. We did buy a book.
We have a book.
But where is
somewhere.
it? I can't find it.
Well,
I've been looking all over.
Have you looked in the guest room?
No.
Okay, let's go look in the guest room later on.
Because I don't remember all of the story, but the stories are interesting. There was something about, was it Second World War or First
World War? The garden was lost, and it was, it kind of grew like a Sleeping Beauty kind of story, where the whole garden was lost because it's very lush down there. So the garden kind of overgrew and gradually disappeared, and it's gradually been rebuilt now in the past, I don't know, 30 years.
Yeah.
And so, that kind of a garden, the way to do it is you go and then you wait for a very long time before you go again. So we haven't been there for maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we get to go again to rediscover it and see how much more there is there compared to what was there.
And it's so different because it's in that part of England you can have palm trees and things, ferns, a lot of things you can't see if you do a trip further north. Yeah. So it will be very nice. And that was in May.
Yeah, that's going to be in May again, yes.
Yeah, and May again. So England, that has always been May.
Yeah, we love England in May, for sure.
No, we did one another time also, but May.
May is our favorite time.
And then from there
And now you can talk about...
Then we went to Greenland.
Right.
And we started in Iceland.
Right,
Reykjavik. And then we flew to Nuuk in Greenland, and then we entered the ship there, and we
traveled north to the land of the midnight sun again. And we went to places like Sissimut, Ilulissat,
Ilulissat.
and then the others I can't remember because they're very long names.
Yeah.
But Ilulissat and
And that
Sissimut,
famous
I do
fjord.
remember. Yeah, oh God, it was
What's
beautiful.
that called again? The ice fjord? No.
Yeah, that was in Ilulissat, the
Yeah,
fjord, the UNESCO heritage. Can't remember. Was it the ice fjord?
I don't remember. See?
Anyway.
I should brought my scrapbook because I
Yeah.
have everything. And we bought this souvenir from Greenland.
Tupilak.
Tupilak. It's a thing made of bone. I think it was a reindeer bone.
It was made out of reindeer bone.
Horn
It's carved.
something.
And we bought it from a man who had carved it himself.
That was
because,
so cool.
Because we really want to, go to places and support local communities. So we bought this tupilak, which has got faces on it. And this tupilak, I was wondering if the man possessed it or something.
Because if there was a ghost in the house.
We've put it on a table or on top of a chest in an area that we pass. And this tupilak is tilted, so it goes kind of like, it stands like that,
curved like
but it curves like this. And so every few days I look at it and it's staring at the wall and I turn it around. And then every few days I walk back and it's staring at the wall and I turn it around.
It was kind of spooky. I was thinking we should put up a camera and see if it moves by itself at
I
night.
did something the other day.
Yeah?
I did this.
Yeah, I done that too.
No, but I did it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then it was moving.
Walking back and forth like this, back and forth. And I
it's no
saw it
ghost.
gradually moving. Yeah.
So it wasn't a ghost.
So it wasn't a ghost at all.
It was
just
the floor.
It's just actually it's not a ghost. It's physics.
Physics.
It's the way the horn is tilted or shaped or curved, and the way it's standing and the height. All these things just make it turn as soon as there's movement there. And it is in an area. We've put the tupilak in an area where we walk a lot.
And it took time before we figured it out.
Yeah. So I have been considering, before I figured it out, I mean, we figured it out pretty quickly, but before that I was considering moving it. But now, I don't know, I like it. It's kind of part of the charm.
It's cool that it moves.
Right. So do we keep it or we move it?
We keep it. I'm going to get one more, I think.
Next time
or
we
two
go.
more, so we have a collection.
Yeah. We really fell in love with Greenland. It was a remarkably beautiful country, empty, vast, and just gorgeous with all the icebergs. The locals, the warmth of the local people was quite lovely.
And
really
we can speak
enjoyed.
Norwegian because most people speak Danish.
Well, not most, but a lot of people.
Do. I think
speak.
they learn Danish in school.
Yes. If they don't speak English, they speak Danish, which is good. I was translating for one of the expedition people. There was a place where they were doing these folk dances, and then they came to explain to the expedition person something about they were going to take a break and this and that. But she couldn't speak English, and the guide was not Danish or Scandinavian, so I was there, and I just told her, translated, because she was actually the lady that was explaining was speaking Danish.
Yeah, of course, she was an older lady.
Yeah. But it was a beautiful place, lovely people, interesting food, I have to say. Yeah. I was very surprised. We had this Greenland evening with traditional Greenland food, and I have it actually goes for you as well. We have cut down dramatically on eating red meat. We actually eat very little red meat nowadays. If we can avoid it completely, we do. But going to a traditional Greenland dinner, we would have expected fish, considering there's a coast around the whole island. But in fact, it was meat, which we ate, of course, because we're not going to be those people.
And Christmas is coming.
And Christmas is coming. We got to eat meat.
There'll be a lot of meat.
But anyway, it was interesting. And what was it they said about that? They said that there was no real... They have introduced all the meat in Greenland, right?
I don't know what they said. What did they say about that? They have reindeer and
muskox. Yes, yeah, but like beef and things like that.
Well, that's probably introduced, because if you go back to the old days, there were no sheep or cows.
Right. That's what I mean. They have reintroduced, or they have introduced lamb and cows and
maybe the Vikings had brought some animals like when they were there, but they came and then they disappeared. And,
Right.
And then the Inuits who live, I heard something that the Inuits who live in the south where the Vikings were, they came in from north later.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a very interesting story. We're going to have to read more about that because we're going to go back.
We are going to go back.
But then we're going to go from Iceland and we're going to go on the east coast.
Yeah, we were in the west of Greenland. We're going to go on the east of Greenland next time.
So next time we also have Greenland. We have Iceland, Greenland, and Svalbard on the same.
But the dinner, hang on, let's go back to the dinner. They didn't say, it wasn't muskox or any reindeer. It was cow. It was beef. Which was surprising that would have been the traditional thing considering their
it's not that old. It can't be an old tradition unless they imported in the old days.
Yeah, exactly. But it was good. It was tasty. So anyway, that was that trip. Then we went on to doing knitting under the midnight sun again.
Yeah.
So the knitting cruise in Greenland first, and then the knitting cruise in Norway on board the Svalbard line. Yeah. The Svalbard line is the ship that carries goods and supplies from the mainland of Norway to the archipelago of Svalbard all the way in the North Pole. And we do that once a year. It's a trip that is a perennial favorite of ours.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It is, yes. And for this trip, we're not going to go into detail because if you want to, you can go into the blog and read my whole story. I kept a journal throughout those 16 days, and you can read day by day what happened if you go online, or perhaps you already read it. So that was that. Then in September, we did a knitting under the Aurora Borealis cruise.
That's when
we actually
came early.
That's when we do a lot of Northern Light cruises, usually in the fall and in the winter. But there's the difference between Northern Light cruises and Northern Light cruises, and this was the Northern Light cruise. We couldn't believe it when we got the Aurora Borealis in Bergen on the very first day. It was unbelievable.
That was cool.
Or between Bergen and Ålesund, sorry.
The only bad thing with that trip was that they closed down my favorite thrift store in Trondheim.
Yeah.
So but I know another one.
Actually,
it's a bit far to walk there, but
actually, it's a little bit of a thing now. I mean, it's Arne is very sad because not only in Trondheim, but they have been closing thrift stores all along the coast, and Arne has been very sad because now he has nothing to buy anymore.
No, I have to go on the internet.
Yeah. Oh God, that's even worse.
No, but we stopped in Hammerfest, and I figured out they also have a nice thrift store, but that was of course closed when we came there, and there's still a good one. There's still a good one in Tromsø.
Yeah.
And there's another one in Honningsvåg now, but we're always on a Sunday, so it's not open.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Maybe next time.
The only thing you can get enough of is yarn. There's yarn everywhere. But the thrifting is not so easy.
The thrift store is not so easy.
Well, I know places, but it's a bit far. So
yeah. And then let's go back to traveling. We completed the year in terms of traveling by going to South Africa in November for a...
we didn't do anything from that cruise to...
Well, we went on holiday to Sicily.
Yeah, we've been in Sicily.
But that's a private holiday.
That was a holiday.
So we didn't do much yarning there. We did other things, like going to churches and lighting candles and eating a lot of food and buying some antiques and things like that. But then we went to South Africa for the first of 2 trips that we're doing, which is kind of like a knitting safari with mohair from South Africa, good food, and a lot of arts and crafts, including things like basket weaving.
Yeah. And the arts and crafts in South Africa is really beautiful.
Oh yes,
it's really hard not to bring something home.
Yeah.
So we came home with some baskets and some jewelry and fabrics.
And that's some beautiful porcelain that we didn't buy, sculptures and things at Ardmore, which we will visit again. So this time we might be a little bit more prepared. There's also that weaver that did all the beautiful things in like the blankets in mohair that we might want to have a look at again. So lots of things to look forward to. We are doing this trip again. It's going to be the first trip of 2026. We are leaving on January 6th.
Yeah. And we also, on that trip, we went to Cowgirl Blues.
Yep.
And because I think we talked about this before, because we're going to work on a book with clothes for this doll, the Japanese Lika doll. And I've been struggling with yarn. So at first I bought something Norwegian, which is thin enough, but then it's too much. It's like 50 grams. But the cowgirl blues people, they sold this.
Yarn candy, I think they call it, don't they?
Yeah, this is... I think they called it yarn candy. No, that was the gift. That was yarn candy.
Oh, right, yeah.
But this is like...
10 grams.
10 grams? Or is it 20 grams?
It says 10.
10.
Oh, the kid silk is 5 and the
So
merino lace is 10.
So this is so much better
Yeah.
for doll clothes because they sell these small balls of yarn. And so I bought a lot of these. So now I can actually start.
Yeah, and they're all hand dyed, so they're very
Yeah.
lovely color. I love this color here. Cape Storms, beautiful.
So I started yesterday. I tried to figure out like a style. This is 2 ends of the kid silk because one is too small. It's like so annoying, and also you get the fingers on the doll get stuck if it's too open. So I used 2, and this is inspired of the Ken sweaters I started to do, but now I'm going to focus on this doll.
Yep.
So that made me so happy when I found this, and actually our agent in Japan, she also found the yarn, but I think maybe I misunderstood, but I think it's on the way.
Yeah, but in any case,
in case we have this one,
we have the Cowgirl Blues,
Yeah.
and then you came up with this idea. Now, I mean, we have to talk about this idea. End of the year podcast. Kind of summing up the year. We've just summed up the year in travel, and now we've got some time left.
Yeah.
And Arne came up with this brilliant idea. I don't know if I agree it's brilliant. So tell everybody the idea.
it's just I think we could like, show things we have not finished.
Oh, I thought you meant everything we had finished.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, but that's a lot of things.
Well, then I didn't do the brief properly because I only brought my finished projects.
No, you have unfinished projects.
Well, not really. Okay, but do we start by showing? I mean, I guess I should go first.
You show
right?
your stuff.
Yeah. So I finished this hat, and I even put a pom-pom on it. And this is the mystery knit-along that we did for, guess what? Greenland.
Greenland.
Yes, inspired by the beaded thing, the kind of necklace that the
Or like cape.
or the cape. It's all
yeah.
beaded, and it's what the Inuit women wear. And it is actually the inspiration for the first yoke sweater, by the way, designed in the 1930s. So that's where the inspiration for the yoke sweater came from, the Inuit beading. And anyway, we took the idea of the Inuit beading, but obviously did it on our own, in our own twist, making it look a little bit like this. I love the colorway. I love this colorway.
Nice. I even bought that string they use because we have a lot of beads lying around. Because I wanted to do something for the doll, but that was hard.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to.
So this is actually, I finished a project before that. I got to go through that as well. The penguin hat. This one I knitted in Antarctica. And as you can see, if I turn it around, there's penguins and penguins and penguins and penguins. And this is pretty much what we saw. I mean, this hat was a mystery knit-along. We gave everybody white and black yarn, and everybody said immediately, oh, it's a penguin hat. And we
So
said no, but it wasn't very difficult for
It didn't
people to
take
figure
long.
out. And this pretty much, I mean, if I just keep rotating this hat, it pretty much sums up what we saw in Antarctica. Well, that and a lot of whales and a lot of seals and a lot of beautiful landscapes and icebergs and things. So this was the first project I finished. Then we got the very expensive Kiviot yarn, and I knit this for Arne, and it is a oversized Kiviot hat.
That's a good one.
And I said to Arne, it's perfect, even if we're going to South Africa in January in the middle of summer. It'll be perfect to wear in the morning drives when we're on safari because they drive the car quite fast and it's an open car and you get a lot of wind in your ears. So try it on.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna take this with me to South Africa.
Yeah.
It's so soft.
And Now I
Very
am
good.
working on my second one because we did have some yarn left over. So I've got my second one here. I'm using two ends because I have some fingering yarn and I have some DK yarn of the same Kiviot. So now I am doing the second hat. Still have a little way to go, but I only need to knit 3 or 4 or 5 more rounds, and then I'm going to start decreasing. So I mean, I will definitely finish this before we leave, so that I also get a matching hat. So we're going to be matchy on the trip. But you know, the color is good.
Yeah.
The color is good for camouflage. So you know, you can't really wear this because you will annoy the elephants if you wear this, or you might,
But this is
you know,
nice.
the buffalo might get angry.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You want to blend in. This blends in, right?
And I found this one because this is the one I started, and I just want to do knit and purl, but I think you should have the yarn.
Well, the problem is it's fingering yarn, and you did just one end, and it's super thin.
Yeah.
So it's not really.
I think you can have it. You can unravel it, and you can make
Yeah, if I need more, I'll do
more.
it.
So
Yeah.
this is.
So anyway, I misunderstood Arne's brief, and I only brought the things I finished, plus the one hat that I'm knitting right now. Because if not, I would have had like, you know, more than you.
Yeah.
And also, I want to say we gave away a lot of stuff. So we've been knitting on all these cruises, and sometimes we fall in love with the crew. Well, actually, we always fall in love with the crew.
There's always some nice people.
And there's always someone you just want to give them a big hug and a hat.
Yeah.
So we've given away quite a lot of things as well. So if it doesn't look like much, I do believe that maybe I gave away some of my stuff.
Didn't we give away one penguin hat to the auction?
We gave away one to the
Was that-
auction, and then we gave away one to, what was his name? Not Neil, but Ian.
Ian, he got one
He got
because
one
we
as
met him a few times.
And because he's very nice.
And he's very nice. So we give away some hats.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I said we should knit some so we have extra before we leave.
Okay, I'm lying. I did not give away anything I knitted. Arne gave away all the things he knitted. He knitted like 3 or 4 hats.
Well, you
on
gave
the
away
Antarctica
my
cruise,
hats.
and he gave away all of them.
Because yours were,
And I'm holding on with mine.
they're precious.
To mine for dear life, because you know what? They're rare. They're very rare. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 penguin hats in the world with Arne's signature on it. There's only one of mine.
So you have to put it in this bag and just keep it. So you don't lose. Keep this also.
Yeah, I'll keep that.
Yeah?
So thank you. Anyway, that concludes me. Now I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the
relax.
rest of this podcast because I'm not going to be participating anymore. Go ahead,
Oh,
Arne.
you are. You can knit on this.
What is it?
The doll thing. No. So now I've been doing, what have I done?
A lot.
I've done this one. This is also the same hat.
Yeah,
This is finished.
look at how different they are. Look at that.
Yeah, but this is the black Norwegian wool, and the other yarn is a gift from Joanne. Thank you. It was a Dolly Parton color.
She has a yarn.
No, but someone put her name on the yarn.
Oh, okay.
See? And it's kind of fun because you just use that multicolor yarn with black,
Yeah.
and it
Comes out completely
comes out
different.
very different. And then I found this year we've been doing the knit along. First
Have we?
or I have, and we did the sock. That's finished, and we have done all the squares from the rowan knit along with the Norwegian wool, and we haven't put it together. That's something we have to think about.
Putting it together, yes.
And you had a good idea. You said we could use this under the Christmas tree.
Yeah, like a little blanket.
Yeah, or like, is it called
Christmas tree skirt.
skirt tree?
Because it's quite small. I mean, it's a baby-sized blanket.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be like a big
It should be
one.
much bigger, but this was the size they normally use. So I think it was a bit small. It could be like, what you call that, on the edge, on the bedspread,
Yeah, like a...
or for a kid.
Hmm.
But we can knit more, and we can make it bigger.
Yeah, very nice. Can I just take that aside and I'll just put it here?
And then I found this is unfinished. This has been lying around now for I don't know how long. This is from an old design.
But did you knit on it this year?
No, it's been out the whole year.
No, but the brief was... Okay, so I must have misunderstood the first brief. The first brief was the projects you finished. Apparently not.
No, because it's,
So now it's the projects you didn't finish. But the question is, have you actually knitted on that this year?
no, but it's
Okay.
been out because see, it's a hole.
Yeah. So Arne, this doesn't count.
No, so take this away.
Take it out because it's
But
not.
this has to be fixed. It's been lying around for I don't know how many
Yeah, but
years.
if you didn't knit it in 25, it doesn't count.
No. So I knitted this one.
Okay, here we go.
This, but I have only the body.
Yeah.
This was on the. Which strip was that?
I don't know, but the design is from Rowan. We've designed, and there's a pattern on our website at arnecarlos.com for the running dogs on the
Dog
sleds.
sledge. I think this was on the. Was this knitted on the Greenland?
I think you knitted it on the Greenland, and I think you knitted it in February as
February
well.
as
So
well?
you knitted it in winter, I think.
Yeah, this was the winter, and I haven't started the sleeves yet.
No.
But I have organized the yarn, so I think I'm going to bring it on the next cruise. I think it's always nice to bring sweaters on the knitting cruise.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is
another one.
sleeves coming up, and then I did. I've been working on this one the whole year.
Yeah, that's the one you knit wrong and you had to redo, and then suddenly you found another that you had begun.
I've done 3 actually.
I think everybody has heard the story.
I
of
started
how,
3.
That's how you started one, you put it down, and then another day you find another one, and it's like, this is not right.
No.
And then you realize it's another one.
And it's the 3rd one.
Yeah.
I
So
have
you've got 3 bodies lying around.
no. I am unraveling. So I started the
Okay.
first sleeve. This is from the yarn that I unraveled. I bought so much black and white. I think I have yarn for it. And see, this is a very strange rib because it's only 5 rows of ribbing and then it's just stockinette.
But you're going to sew something over it.
Yes, because this belongs to, what is all this?
Yarn?
Where did this come from?
I don't know.
Well, that's another project. No, because I found this one, which I showed before in the thrift store in Bergen, and the knitting is really bad, but the embroidery is beautiful, and also there's like silver buttons. But the yarn breaks all the time, and I have to mend it every time I use it. I have to mend it, and the tension is quite off. The white stitches are so big compared, but see, sometimes they're small again. So this is not so nice. So I'm fixing this one, and I'm going to use it in the garden. So I'm making a longer rib.
Oops, sorry. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So what else have you got? I mean, you got to show all your, not the ones you finished this year. Actually, you know what? I think it was a good call, because if you would have shown everything you finished this year, it would have taken forever. So let's go.
I can do this one then.
Okay.
This, I started this, a design inspired of something in one of the scrapbooks. It's hasn't worked.
I love the colors.
I'm still working on this.
Love
This
the
is for
colours.
another cruise. I started this one on the last cruise, and I
actually like those colors too.
I haven't touched it since we came back from the ship. This one is called Lilyhammer. It's a very old pattern from the 50s or 60s.
Colors are a little vintage, kind of retro.
That's what I like with them.
But I do like
those
them. I like
vintage
that.
colours.
I like that colorway, to be honest. Yellow and brown. Who would have thought? Or mustard and brown.
It's very 70s, you know.
Yeah. But if done the right way, it can actually look quite striking.
So this one will come with me back on the next cruise. Maybe I can finish it. I hope. And then I started the t-shirt project.
Yeah. With our new sock yarn that we launched this year.
Still wait for more yarn. We have ordered it. It has not arrived.
But it's in Norway. It's just not being delivered yet because there's a hiccup of some sort.
Okay. So this will be like a t-shirt, and it's based on a normal t-shirt. Yeah. And I think it works.
And then you've got a project, again, you know, talking about camouflage, but Arne is taking the camouflage thing to another extreme because, you know, you're supposed to blend in. Yeah. But if you actually wear this sweater, you might actually attract lions. This one. And they might want to eat you.
So this is ready now to be sewn together. It's the zebra. This one we did for Rowan the first time.
Well, we designed it for Rowan.
They didn't want it in that magazine, but Vogue Knitting took it in their magazine. But it was different, so I'm changing it.
Yeah.
Because
he's doing a plain back and plain sleeves in black.
Yeah, the stripes were all over, but I'm changing it, and I finished the front, and this is the back.
And you finished everything, really.
2 sleeves.
So all you need to do now is assemble it.
I'm going to sew it together, and then I'm going to cut out the neckline so I get it the way I want.
Because you need to finish this before South Africa if you want to wear it. I wouldn't wear it if I were you. It'll be too obvious for the lions. You have to be careful. I want you back in Norway,
but
you know?
They say it's also very confusing for the lions with the stripes.
Yeah, but
and
they
it keeps flies away.
Yeah, but they still hunt zebras, you know?
They do.
Even if, yeah.
I can wear it in the lodge.
In the lodge, yeah.
But it's probably summer.
Yeah.
So
and then finally, you are doing a project because we lost a stocking. That's one of the big events of 2025.
Yeah.
Losing one out of our bunad stockings probably in Chicago or in Illinois anyway. We don't know. That's when we last saw it. By the time we got to Nevada, it wasn't there anymore. Yeah. But anyway, you have the stocking that you are working on. Because the original bunad stockings were knitted in South Africa.
Yeah, and this one was knitted in South Africa. I did a rib before we left, and I started a little bit, and this is all I managed to do.
Because it was such a busy day or a time in South Africa.
But I also have another pair, and I couldn't find them. They are somewhere.
Story of your life.
In the stash. But they are the other pattern. But in South Africa, I also made jackets of scrap yarn for the doll.
Of course you did.
So I felt I just brought scraps from home to clean up. So I haven't put buttons on this one. And a white one, I have to sew in the thread. And then she got this one with 2 ends.
That's very pretty.
This is like a very thin yarn with black dots. And she has nothing under. You have to be careful, can't open this one because then people think it's creepy.
Yeah.
yeah. There was a picture, I think we posted the video of a little doll.
Yeah, never mind, Arne.
No?
Never
she had pink underwear, but people didn't see it, and they were like, oh, that's gross.
Anyway, Arne, never mind. And last but not least, this 2025 was also the year when we started our can collection for some reason. Yeah. We found the first one in Charleston in the US.
And we bought only one.
We bought one, and now we have many. And actually, there was one particular outfit that I really wanted, and I found it at Vintage, and I bought it for Arne. So it's for Arne, really. But I do want to show it because he is wearing my absolute favorite of all the designs that were made for Ken in the 60s. He's wearing the ice skater outfit,
so cute.
Complete with a scarf and the hat. Oh, and if you can hold it, we put them in the bag because he keeps losing them. But of course,
them all the time.
Of course, there are mini.
But all these old
mini mittens. Let me put one on. The attention to detail is just.
But the clothing on these cans I think it was in 1961 to 67 or something. Yeah. They are the first Kens and Allens. The clothes are amazing. So, and we kind of hooked on that. So the plan is now that we're collecting.
Look at that.
All the old outfits. I had them.
So now you can see with the mittens and everything.
I thought I had to show you, but there's so much stuff on this.
There's a lot of stuff here. Hopefully 2026 will be a tidier year.
Yeah. But I do these boxes. So this is like the first outfits, and I do some scrapbooking on top with cars and things that has like a link to the outfit, and then he's in the box. So I try we have double of the blue t-shirt, triple actually, 3 of the t-shirts, but this is complete. There's some car keys, they're like small things, but they are hard to find. But the most important thing is to have the right outfits. Yeah. So it's so fun when I do these boxes because then I put them in the shelf and organize them. So I have another outfit. Ta-da-da.
Cool. Yeah. So Arne, I guess this concludes the 2025 final podcast. Summed up, I think we should just go through it very quickly. We've done a lot of traveling. You've done a lot of knitting. I've done slightly less knitting. I didn't bring my unfinished socks. I got little stumps for the toes, about 12 of them.
You have so many unfinished.
So traveling, a lot of knitting. There's going to be sewing. We are doing, we got this beautiful fabric from France, from my absolute favorite store called Antoinette Poisson. It's in the Rue Saint-Sabin near the Bastille. I love that store, and we bought a Chinese-inspired chintz. We actually have it in the guest bedroom for curtains and on the bed. What's it called? The headboard?
Headboards.
And now we're going to do a bed skirt for that. And that's going to be a sewing project that we are doing just before Christmas, if we have time.
Yeah, maybe we start this.
Maybe we start tomorrow or the day after. So we've got the sewing project. You've got your we didn't bring them, but you've got all your granny squares, your hexagons.
Yeah, they're in the box now because I haven't touched them for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. It was other things that was more fun. So
yeah, lots of stuff to do. But yeah, traveling, knitting, sewing, crocheting, gardening. We had a beautiful garden year again this year.
The hexagon kitchen garden, which is not finished. We have to continue next year.
But we're just realizing how bad gardeners we are when it comes to making food. So we might actually change it from a kitchen garden to a
cutting garden.
Flowers for cutting.
I think it's called
garden.
A cutting garden.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be one of the big ones for 2026.
Yeah, and we had a lot of things we could have eaten, but we didn't because we travel. So there's a lot of potatoes and...
Oh, we've got some in the fridge.
But there's more in the garden. Under the soil.
Okay.
We can take them now because it's been very warm. It's been raining today. It's very unusual.
Yes.
I talked about it on the radio this morning that this is very unusual.
Yeah, very unusual. But that being said, it still looks like we may have a white Christmas.
We'll have a white Christmas.
And we're looking forward to that. So that is everything we have for today, right?
Yeah.
And now what is left is to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And a happy 2026.
Yeah.
And we hope that 2026 will be a year where you get everything you wish for, and we wish you all good health and happiness and all of that.
Yeah, and
right?
I have a New Year wish.
Okay.
I'm not starting new projects before I finish the old ones.
Okay, so that'll be
Arne's
New Year's resolution.
Yeah. What's yours?
And my New Year's resolution is I'm going to take all those toes that I have and I'm going to make them into socks.
Yeah.
So that's my New Year's resolution.
There will be a lot of socks in December next year.
There will. We're going to take a little break now for at least the month of January. We won't be podcasting in January, but you can still be on the lookout for new episodes here on our channel, as we will be posting some tutorials as usual. And we will be back with our podcasts again, probably in February. And for additional content, we've got the members area, of course, where you can join and support the channel, and you get lots of fun additional stuff like weekly catch-ups and catch-ups and live streams with knitting help, shenanigans, and a lot of things like that.
You get your weekly catch-up.
Yeah.
And sennep. Mustard, is that sennep?
Sennep is mustard.
Mustard.
Yeah. And how about the final formalities?
If you like our videos, put your thumbs up and put on the notifications, because if you're a subscriber, because then you won't miss an episode, and keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, for newsletters and emails from us. And there's probably new patterns coming, and there's a lot of new things coming. And new cruises, and everything is the way it usually is. Yeah. So thank you everybody so much for watching in 2025, and please come back and watch us again in 2026. But there will be shorts on Instagram, so keep your eyes peeled. Sure, there will be shorts. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again very, very soon. Toodaloo! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Happy holidays! Happy New Year! New Year! Bye! Bye!